Hello, families. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to say a special thank you to our partners at First 3 Years for hosting this event for us to all connect with each other. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Vendlay. I am a behavior analyst with Metrocare. And before we jump into our exciting topic about thriving through transitions and tantrums with your toddler, I'd like to share a little bit of important information about two really great programs that Metrocare has right now. The first is Early Childhood Intervention Services at Metrocare, where they provide case management and developmental therapy support to infants and toddlers with developmental delays or disabilities from the time of birth until the baby turns 3. So that is a really great program that I think all parents should know about for kids who are, for babies who are 0 to 3 years of age. And then we also have our Center for Children with Autism, where we serve individuals with autism diagnoses from ages 2 to 12 years old. Our Center for Children with Autism offers quality applied behavior analysis, ABA, services in Dallas and DeSoto. And our goal is to lead each child to their potential through evidence-based therapy founded on the principles of applied behavior analysis. If you're interested in learning more about either one of these programs, please visit our website, metrocareservices.org. All right, so let's jump into it. When we talk about transitions, we have a few broad categories of transitions, but we also are going to get a little bit more specific as well. So let's start general. Transitions can be changes from one activity to another, changes from one setting to another, or location to another, and changes in who is around the child and in their environment. Now, here's an important caveat as well. I want to express that transitions are difficult for any child who is under the age of 5. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that they have a developmental disability for transitions to be a problem. I'm sure many parents of neurotypical children can attest to this fact, but we're going to be talking about transitions for neurotypical individuals, and we'll be also touching on some caveats related to individuals that have developmental disabilities, such as autism. All right, so here's some prime times when a tantrum might occur related to a transition. I can speak from personal experience that whenever my wife leaves the room, my 2-year-old typically is going to run after her, crying all the way. So that is a change in who is in the environment. So that's a transition. We can talk about cleanup time after playing with toys. That is also a transition. You were going from playing with our toys to something not so fun, which is cleaning things up. And that activity is a transition. Also, one of the biggest things that I hear parents reporting when they come in is their child gets very upset whenever it's time to turn off the TV or to turn off the tablet or their iPhone. So, that's something that we're seeing a whole lot of, and that's something that we want to, also be mindful of. Maybe some other types of transitions related to location could be getting out of the car to walk into the doctor's office or to the barber shop, getting out of off the playground to come inside. That's a transition from location as well. And we have to remember that our toddlers don't have the skills to handle their emotions and manage their behavior very well. They're still learning. So when we see these tantrums occurring because of these transitions or changes in state, they occur often because the child feels unable to control their routine and become overwhelmed by their emotions. And they can quickly learn that if they whine, negotiate, have a full-blown tantrum, complain, a full-blown meltdown, where you're rolling around the floor, kicking your feet, that can often be successful in order to delay or avoid a transition altogether. So children learn very early how to adapt to strategies. Now, when we talk about tantrums from transitions, I did want to mention that individuals with autism spectrum disorder, for instance, will be very accustomed or have a need for routine and sameness. Um, so let's make a distinction here. Sameness and routine are not bad things, okay? All children, even neurotypically developing children, like routine, like predictability. What is the case for some individuals with autism is not necessarily, the problem isn't that they like sameness. The problem is that they can't tolerate or be flexible when their predictability is not present. So that's where we see major meltdowns related to those situations. They're not very flexible. And again, that's something that all children under the age of 5 are learning to try to be flexible. Now, when we're transitioning from a preferred activity to a non-preferred activity, this is another situation where we can think of it like this. If I'm doing a preferred activity, I'm doing something that I enjoy, something that I would choose to do on my own. And now somebody's asking me to stop doing that and do something that I don't really want to do and wouldn't necessarily choose for myself. So you can understand how, having one of your preferred activities interrupted, that could lead to a tantrum. And communication deficits. We have to think of our children, especially those children 3 and under. They may still be, trying to learn how to talk. They may even have some communication deficits. And that can impact their ability to appropriately communicate, hey, mom or dad, I would really like 1 more minute playing with this toy before I have to transition. Rather, they're going to let their behavior do the talking for them. Okay? So, and remember, our little guys and girls, especially those under age of 5, like we're, targeting here, we're really not very good at them managing their emotions, and they can have some very big emotions. So they don't necessarily stop to think about, what are the consequences of this tantrum? Will I lose a toy? No, they're very impulsive, so they're just going to respond, and let their frustration out through their tantrum behavior. So what is a parent to do with all these tantrums and issues with transitions? Should we avoid transitions to keep the toddler happy? Avoid saying no? Or give in to the tiny little terrorist? Well, in this case, if you've done these things, then I would say you're just a normal parent, because I can relate. And I'm guilty, absolutely, of trying to avoid these tantrums and behavior issues, sometimes knowing that, it's not the right long-term move. But I want to let you know there's no parental shame and no judgment here. You are not alone. Because the issue is, we have to think about parents are not immune from behavior and punishment, rewards and punishment as well. Hearing our child cry and have a big tantrum, that can be a very punishing thing, or very non-pleasant for an adult, for a parent to be exposed to. And the fact is, it can cause our nervous system to go haywire a little bit. It induces a stress response on us parents. Maybe our heart rate starts to go up, or our breathing gets faster. And when these things happen, it can have a little bit of an inhibiting effect on our ability to reason very well and make good choices as a parent. But again, you're not alone, and all parents of toddlers know that tantrums are not fun. However, I do want to encourage you that you can face your fears and handle these situations confidently, knowing that by being prepared and planning, you can address these transition tantrums without fear of scarring your child for life. Okay, so parents, here's where we're going to get into what we're going to do so that we can be ready to address these tantrums. Now, remember, parents, we don't think so well when our little one is screaming, falling out on the floor, so we need a game plan. We get emotional too, don't we, parents? We get angry, we get um, very overwhelmed at the situation sometimes. So, by having a plan and preparing, this will help you from second guessing yourself in the moment as well. Additionally, by planning, we can focus on prevention of the tantrum in the first place as much as possible. Wouldn't it be great if the tantrum just did not happen ahead of time rather than having to worry about what to do when the tantrum does occur? All right, let's set age appropriate expectations for our child. We have to know what's realistic for them and what they can tolerate. How long can a toddler wait at the doctor's office before they begin to ask for things that maybe they are not able to have right at that moment? That can lead to a tantrum. We want to make sure that we maybe have some distractors and toys available so that we can be accommodating to the child to the degree that we can be. We also want to think about the schedule of the day that the activities are happening. Now think about, a child in mid-morning, that's kind of their prime time. They're, you know, have a little bit more energy, they can be a little bit more attentive versus that afternoon child who needs a nap. And when your child needs a nap, they get tired and cranky. That will definitely make transitions a lot harder for you. And, their tolerance level of frustration is going to be even below what it is when they're at their best. We also want to give warnings before a transition occurs. Think about this situation. Again, you're doing something that you really enjoy doing, something that you're choosing to do, and then all of a sudden somebody rolls up on you and says, all right, stop that. It's time to go do this thing that you really don't really want to do. So that really abrupt transition is not a good recipe for a good experience for the child or for the parent. It can definitely lead to tantrums. And we also want to break things down into one-step instructions. This really helps because we can use breaking it down with one-step instructions with rewarding them following one-step instructions to shape the correct transition that we hope to experience every single time. So for example, let's say you ask the child to go brush their teeth. Now that's a lot of different steps that are involved in that. And if we don't break that down, it may lead to some issues with noncompliance or disruptive behavior, tantrums. So we can break it down. Okay, hand me the phone. Oh, thank you for handing me that phone. That's really great. Let's stand up. Awesome, you're doing it. Now, walk with me. Oh, this is good. Go into the bathroom. All right, great job. Pick up your toothbrush. Okay, wonderful. Put it in your mouth. And so you can see how one-step instructions may be a little bit easier for a very young child to follow. Now, if praise is not the best thing to motivate your child, make sure that you do have something that you can use, whether it's a toy, or sometimes it can be something like a preferred snack item. But you just want to make sure that if you're going to use something for transitions, make sure that it's not something that's freely available to the child all the time. That way, when you need to use it for transitions, it's going to be more valuable to them because they don't have it all the time. Okay? So let's talk about some things that we can also use to prepare and plan. Parents, I want to make sure that you know that life is unpredictable and there will be bumps in the road and unexpected situations. But I want you to focus on what you can control in your environment and eliminate the things that might cause you to get caught off guard. Um, so, for example, something that I tell parents is something that you can control is creating rituals. This means making a loose schedule for your child throughout the day and having some structure to the day. Routines can create rhythm and predictability, which is something that all children appreciate and really do need so that they can navigate their day and their schedule effectively. Another thing that can be very helpful is to provide visuals. Visual aids are physical representations of the transition that's about to occur. And this can help to curb tantrums related to an abstract idea. Again, this goes back to providing some predictability. The child can see what's going to happen next, and you can set some expectations with them, and hopefully they will meet those expectations and be able to get their reward. We have to also be aware that we want to have a balance to the activities that we're trying to schedule throughout the day. Having a good mix of preferred and non-preferred activities. We don't want to have too many non-preferred activities in a row. You might be able to get by with maybe 2 non-preferred activities in a row, but you really don't want to push it to 3 or 4 because that will also set your child up for a situation where they're going to be maybe not as successful as we would like to have them. So mix in the fun activities with the not so fun activities. Here are some additional ideas we can share. I got some of these ideas from some coworkers of mine. So you can use a fun song that signals that it's time to make a transition. Making up your own song, if you're creative, can be a lot of fun, and sometimes the children even make up words to the song. But if you're not that creative, don't worry. You can just use any song that your child likes. Pairing the transition with something fun can take the pain out of the transition. As an example, it's time to clean up our toys. We can try to make it time-based by saying, let's get all the toys put away before the song is over. And that way, there's a concrete end to when this cleanup activity will be done. Now, you can also think about something like a transition object. Similar to a visual aid, a transition object is simply something that the child can physically hold and move with them when they go from one place to the next. So if it's a toy, for an example, a small farm animal toy or small dinosaur, matchbox car, or doll, what have you, just make sure that you explain to the child where they should park the object or put it when they get to the transition point. That way it won't be distracting to them as they do their next activity. Again, we just want to use those motivating things, the transition objects, for when it's time to transition. That way it's not freely available all the time. You can also make the transition into a sort of a game and build on some of that sibling rivalry. Now, sometimes sibling rivalry can be a bigger problem than the transition. So you know your child, and if you think that might be the case, you may not want to set up a competitive race with them, but you can't stack the odds in the child's favor by you competing with your child, because then they can be successful as well. So these are some ideas that I hope will be very helpful to you. And this presentation was a little bit brief, but hopefully, if you have follow-up questions, I'm going to tell you how to get in touch with me again. So parents, I just wanted to conclude with, you have a very challenging job raising your children. And no one has all the right answers, even though there are many professionals out there who want, to share how to be the best parent you can be. And sometimes we have a lot of family members who want to share their opinions too. Just be careful about who you listen to, because you are the expert on your child. And another thing that I always express to parents, please make sure you do this. Make self-care a priority and give yourself some grace. We get emotional, even as dads, moms and dads, we all get emotional. So we want to make sure that we're taking some time for ourselves so that we can recharge our batteries and come back to being the best parent that we can be. Now, always remember to, when things are bad, just remember they're not always going to be this way. So we take one day at a time or one sleepless night at a time, as the case may be. And when things are good, remember it won't always be this way either. So try to enjoy and cherish every great moment because your baby is going to grow up and they're going to be too big to hold one day, and they're going to be asking for the keys to the car one day. So really cherish and hold on to those sweet moments while your child is young. Here are some resources that I want to share with you, okay? These are the developmental milestones from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, and the ages and stages milestone as well. I always encourage parents, be aware of what the milestones are and about the time of their development when they should be meeting those milestones. That way you can reference those and say, yes, my child is on track. Or you can notice there may be some red flags and discuss that with your pediatrician as well. If you would like to request a copy of these slides, please reach out to me at autism@metrocareservices.org or visit our website, metrocareservices.org, to learn more about the Early Childhood Intervention Program and our Centers for Children with Autism at Metrocare program. Thank you guys so much for your time and listening to me as we talk about this important topic. Again, I just want to encourage all you parents out there, you can do this. You are the best parent for your child. And so you are very valuable. You are somebody who cannot be replaced. But give yourself grace and enjoy the journey because your child's only going to be small for once. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening.